TLZ.com. We're Kiss 107.1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. I am your host for the next hour. So pleased to be with each of you once again. I want you to like, tag, and share this to your video stream. Today, we're going to talk about something that's very important. I decided as I was having some conversations with folk that it's important for us to have some real meaningful conversations about key elements of our community as we move forward, because there's some things that are happening that are actually good for the community, but if we're not prepared, they will run over us like a steamroller. So we must have these conversations to make sure that we as a village, the community, are stepping in and doing what is most important for us. So as we begin to move forward, we're going to have some very serious, poignant conversations about the things that need to take place in our community. So we're going to be talking about real conversations about housing, real conversations as we're talking today about homelessness. We're going to have real conversations as we talk about economic empowerment and what does it mean to have a seat at the table, what that table needs to look like, who needs to be there, and how we must be focused and concentrated on making this happen. This is going to be the plight that I carry, or the task that will be at hand. Shar Goolsby out there. You're one of our first out there at Saginaw Cap. Then we got Shar Goolsby. I'm not sure if you're back from Botswana, Africa, Shar. But if you are, well, welcome home. If not, then we look forward to seeing you soon. But these are going to be some very important things that have to happen. And I'll tell you, I was speaking to another community individual who's very involved with what's happening. And they said, Kareem, we need a champion. If these things are really going to take place, if the things that you're talking about that you see on the horizon are going to really take form, and we're going to be able to be included in terms of what takes place, we need a champion. And I'm not necessarily saying that I am that champion, but I will ring the alarm, sound the alarm until we are all aware of what is needed and what's going to take place. Because I'm going to tell you, Saginaw, and I mean this with everything that is in me, that if we don't begin to formally organize and begin to be strategic about the things that we need and we are demanding to see as our city changes, we will be left behind. This can't be a situation in which we talk about what we don't want. We've got to be very specific about probably 2 or 3 key things that we are demanding, that we demand that we would like to see as we come to the table for this new change that's getting ready to happen. And if we don't, shame on us. All right. So we're going to get into our conversation. Y'all know how I like to do this. Shar, you are back. I can't wait for us to connect. We got a lot of things to talk about, from Stevie Wonder to Botswana. We'll have a lot to get to things. So let's make sure that we connect and we begin the ball rolling on making those things happen. Shar is one of my super friends, as I've said before. I have amazing friends with amazing attributes and characteristics and opportunities and jobs. They are so amazing that they make me feel insufficient, but they always keep me striving to be better. So I want to say, Shar, let's connect. We're going to bring her into the city of Saginaw. She just got back from Botswana, talking with the Department of Entrepreneurship, entrepreneurialism. So we're going to bring her into the city of Saginaw. There's some things that she can help us with there. Not to mention some of the other things that we'll have her, as she's agreed to work with our young people. She is an etiquette guru, and I've seen her do some amazing things on the basketball, on NBA players' basketball courts, as well as just, with the community things. And so I'm so happy to be connected and that she's going to be here in our city. I promise you, I'm bringing that talent to Saginaw, even if it's just for a small time to visit, to help out, to equip, to empower. And we're going to make some great things happen. All right, y'all know how we do. I always like to talk about what's on my mind before we get into the main conversation on today. And so I want to talk about that Alabama dock brawl. Everyone has been talking about it. I hate when stuff happens on a Monday and I got to wait all the way to Sunday to get my opinion in. But we understand what took place down in Alabama. It is such an amazing thing. I want to tell y'all what I really love about this. By now, everyone is aware of what we're talking about. But they found out that day that this is not the days of Jim Crow. I have with me in the studio some of you who are looking in the camera. I did not introduce her because I didn't think she was in the camera, but you're in the camera. So I want to say hello to Miss Tamika Martin. Tamika, say hello to our Straight Talk audience.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, I need you to get about 12 to 16 inches away from the mic so that you don't sound like you're talking to me from a closet. Come on closer. Come on closer. Come on closer. There we go. We're going to help you with your radio etiquette. No, not a problem. Somebody had to help me, so I'm here to help you. It's better that you get closer so that people can hear you. The guy over there on the board, Matthew, the producer. What's good, Matt?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing today?
I am good. You see how he hurry up and moved and he made that happen? Yeah. He'll make sure that you come in and you sound the way that you should sound. So come on, lean. Right. Don't feel sad. Yep, there you go. Right. Get up close and intimate with that microphone. It's absolutely okay. Okay. All right. So we know what took place down in Alabama. We saw what was happening. We gave out awards and all of those great things. Aquaman, the chairman, the Alabama Blur, and the Thunder Thigh Twins. Nobody's been talking about the Thunder Thigh Twins. That's them two sisters out there that was working over those women that were on that dock. Now, listen, I am never an advocate for violence. I come with peace. I say speak softly and carry a big stick, but I am a person who comes in peace. However, when you put your hands in the bee's nest, trust me, you're going to get stung this day. Yeah. And so we are not where we used to be. I am excited that we have decided we found a place that we were working together. And I am so proud of my people. I don't know about y'all, but I was walking around like, I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud. I feel like all of the years have led up to this moment. But this is what I want to say to my people in the community. Let's normalize Black folks sticking together. Let's normalize us working and not allowing ourselves to be abused by any man's power. And even when the man sometimes looks like us. So I just am thankful for that. It was a good expression. The 16-year-old boy, I was watching Ricky smiling. He's like, he swam across the water only to get up and dry out. But then when you begin to see those real videos, that 16-year-old boy put in some work. The young buck jumped in the water. It was the commentary for me.
That's what took me out.
It was a commentary. Yes. The young buck jumped in the water. I'm gonna tell y'all what threw everybody off. First of all, they should have do something was different when they saw a black man jump in the water, swim across a river, get out, and still had the ability to stand. I probably would have been backstroking midway across because I'd have been wore out. But it was a good go. Young buck, he was passing out 10 pieces and biscuits. He was giving it up. I'm telling y'all, it was an amazing sight to see. He is now. I've seen the depiction in cartoon form. I want him to have his own show. We're gonna call it Aquaman. You know what I mean? Aquaman. And he's going to go out there and show us how to defend ourselves. All right. Yesterday, I had a great opportunity. The kids that I work with, we had an opportunity to go to the beach over on the west side of the state. We ended up hitting up Ludington. Then we went all the way down, hit up Muskegon, came back up. We did the sand dunes over in Mears, Michigan. It was a great opportunity. We continually have to make sure that our young people are having opportunities to be exposed. Exposure is so important. Green spaces are so important. So many times you guys will hear folks in the media or in politics or at your council meetings talk about green spaces, and you just nod your head because you have no real idea what we're talking about when you hear green spaces, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we took those kids out and allowed them to see some of the things that our community have, and just to have a reprieve from always being on guard. Tamika, do you understand that how when you show up in certain places, when you go in certain areas, when you do certain things, there's a certain tension that you have to have, especially as a woman. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
I do.
And so when you can go to a place and allow yourself to step out of that mode, sometimes it takes some time to unwind. It's important that we allow ourselves that time and that space to just unwind and to let go. Y'all know my yearly trip to the Porcupine Wilderness State Park is coming up soon. I got a couple spaces for y'all brothers out there who really want to get unplugged. We're not going to go a whole week this year. We're just going to go, I think, 3 days. But we're hiking in. It's 2.5 mile hike in up the side of a mountain. You got to hike in all your food, your clothing, your essentials. There is no running water, no electricity. So we are essentially roughing it for those days, and anything that you have left, you got to hike it back out. It is an amazing day of fishing, just relaxing in the boats, the canoes, on the lake. What you thinking, Tamika? You signing the men up in your family right away? Not exactly.
No.
Okay. All right. All right. It's good. I mean, it's a good thing. It's men bonding. If you want to take a shower, there's no running water, so you just jump in the lake, or you just live in your manhood for that time. But it's all good. I certainly love it. I enjoy it. It's coming up, and the reason we're doing this is because I always take this during my birthday. This year is the big year, y'all. Your man's is turning the big 5-0 this year. I'm so excited.
Oh,
I don't feel a
wow.
day over 26. I feel young, suave, and debonair. But by the time y'all see this beard, if we ain't doing just for men's, we all in crazy. We're all in trouble back here. But I'm excited about this opportunity to just kind of fellowship with the brothers and just kind of unplug completely. There is no electricity, no running water. That means that you're hiking in kerosene, so that you can have a kerosene lantern. That means we use that same propane, not kerosene, propane. So you can have propane lanterns. We use that same thing to use propane burners so we can cook breakfast in the morning, or we out there catching fish and making fires. It's the good stuff. And sometimes we need to get back to those things. The African cultural festival, formerly known as the Black Arts Festival. So y'all be tripping when we say that. People say, it's African Cultural Festival. It was the Black Arts Festival too. All right. So we know what we're talking about. It's underway right now. The crowds have been very good. Have you had an opportunity to get out?
Yes, I have.
You've been out there working. What's going on out there?
Oh, it is so great. It's so many people participating, vendors, performances, so many activities for children. I saw everything from painting to martial arts.
Yeah, we brought some of our talent that has moved away to Detroit. David Young, my brother, if you've ever come into KBS Creative Business Solution, my co-op space, he did all of the African-American artwork that it's in there. So it's John Lewis, Michelle Obama, President Obama, Chadwick Boseman. He painted all of the artwork that's in that space. Phenomenal painter.
Yes.
And I know that they brought him back to get the young people involved. I was so glad to see the young people with easels, looking artistic. We should have gave them some berets and made it official. But the turnout has been absolutely amazing.
Yes, it has been. I've enjoyed all 3 days.
Well, I have been doing other mission work, and there's some things now. This is a real conversation. I ain't trying to make nobody mad, but this is straight talk, no chaser, no filter. I'm gonna give it to you the way I see it, and I'm gonna call it the way I feel about it. All right. I absolutely love what they're doing. Karen Lawrence Webster, Ralph Martin, the entire crew that works with that festival. I was out there a few years ago, and I just kind of saw some things that, as a pastor who has a religious faith in the Word of God, that kind of contradict my faith. And so I don't get on a bully horn and tell people don't go, because that's not how I feel. I know what Holy Spirit told me. But I'm excited. I want to get involved. I don't want to resurrect dead ancestors and that kind of thing. They call that necromancy in the Bible. But I do want to be a part of the celebration. So I hope there's some things that we can work through, so that people who are believers, you don't have to sacrifice any part of who you are to really be connected with what's happening.
Right.
And African spiritualism is not the same as a believer in the Bible. So I just want to say that. So I love y'all. We're going to get to this conversation. Before we get there, I want to say strong men. Do we got any strong men in the social media stream? Let me see. If you're in the social media stream or you're listening to me, and you are in either on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, just let me know where my strong men are in the stream, our strong Black brothers. Angie Stone wrote a song, "My Black brother, I love you. There is no one above you. I want you to know that I'm here for you forever true." Okay, I want those Black brothers. I want to celebrate those Black men. We have been doing something where we have been having conversations with men, with men in our community. Rwanda, Connor, the festival was wonderful this year. Everything was positive. Love visiting all 3 days. It was beautiful, y'all. Black love is beautiful in whatever shape, color, size, form it comes in. And I was so proud. I know y'all been out there with Heavenly Cakes. She's been getting so many commercials of people killing those cupcakes and brownies and cookies. You know, when black folks come together, you got to have some food because we're going to eat, we're going to sing, and we're going to dance.
Yeah, it's a must.
It's a must. Yeah. All right. So those black men who are out there, we need you to get involved with something that we're doing. There are a number of black men, and I know that some of them are listening to this conversation. My brother T. Reed, who is on the road, I know he's on Sunday. He's on Wife Patrol. He's on date night with his beautiful wife, Val. But I know that a number of those men, Brian Pruitt, who's out there, Tara Simpson, who let me know that he was heading over to the festival field as we were having conversations. There are so many powerful black men that have been having conversations, and their entire purpose for these conversations is not just to talk, but their entire purpose for this conversation. I see my brother Antonio Brooks said that he is listening as well. The entire purpose for these conversations is this. We've been having an extreme situation, and it's been for a number of years, that Saginaw has been really struggling with how we are the issues of gun violence. And then the other issue is that I was talking with one of my kids yesterday, said, and nobody's doing anything about it. Well, sometimes the best kept plans are the ones that you talk about and you gather around, you make sure people have one mind, one body, one, a sound focus, and you pull your resources together. When I say resources, I'm not just talking money, I'm talking about people resources. And you find out folks who are willing to do it for the we and not for the I. So many times everyone wants to have a program, but they never succeed because they're all about the I. I've been talking with some brothers who are doing some amazing things. I said Brian Pruitt, I always call him the pastor of men in the city of Saginaw. We've been having these conversations, and we've been putting together some things and some ideas, and they're going to be here in the studio with me on next week. And we're going to talk about what exactly we've come up with. But I will tell you that it's about prevention. It is about awareness. It's about presence. It is about mentorship. It's about talking to these young brothers that are in the street, having conversations, making our presence known, not having single events, but really sticking and staying the course, having conversation with single parent moms. Our phones have been ringing off the hook since we've been having these conversations. And I say to you right now, once again, if you're a single parent mom out there and you got boys, whether they're good boys or bad boys, I don't care. However you define them, if they are young men and they're above, 13, 14 to, 20 years old, we'll take them too. We're talking to everyone, including those brothers that are 20. I say you say 22 to 28. We're having conversations with them as well, because it's going to require all of us to make this thing happen. So if we got some brothers out there, I see Chucky Lawrence, he said agreed out there. He's in the social media stream, y'all. August 19th is next weekend. So he has the kickball tournament, Unity in the Community Kickball Tournament. I think that's what the title of it is. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, Chucky. And so he will be having that Unity in Community. I've heard people in Bay City and all over the place ready to play kickball. And so I'm hoping that those same folks that are so excited about playing kickball will then be extremely excited about rolling up their sleeves and working with our young men and young women in the community. It's going to be job preparedness and professional development. What's important at this time is for us to understand that if you're really going to make change happen, it is not just a one-dimensional thing. We've got to deal with the whole person. You understand this a little bit, Tamika, dealing with folks who are homeless.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that in greater detail. You've got to deal with all of the aspects that brought a person to the place that they were homeless. Absolutely. You've got to deal with all of the aspects that brought a young man to a place that he's found himself maybe in a gang or a community of folks who are doing things that are not necessarily productive. And we've got to deal with employment. We've got to deal, if you're asking them to put down the drugs and stop pushing things on the corner, then that means that you've got to have another mechanism by which they can take care of themselves. These young kids have young babies, sometimes 2 and 3 and 4. And so you get caught in a system sometimes. And so we've got to address it. How can we bring affordable work, a good paycheck? Grace is needed. Absolutely, Jeffrey Bulls. Grace is such an essential piece of what we need. And we've got to get out of the habit or the mind frame that we're going to tell these kids and get these kids together. That ain't what it is. You're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. You're going to end up you're going to get a 2-piece and a biscuit is what you're going to get. And ask Aquaman what that's about. But we've got to begin to address this in a very systematic way. And I've been working with these men who they inspire me. I've never been so inspired by working with other men to bring change into a community. I say that to you. If you have met me or you've talked to me or you've been to the church, you'll know that what I'm saying is 100% authentic. I have never in my entire life, and I'm about to hit the big 550. I told y'all that on the 22nd of August. I have never in my life been more inspired and more excited about what is coming to our community than these men that I've saw. Just a grassroots group of men that have come together and said enough is enough. They've reached out to our civic officials. We've sat and we've had meetings with the mayor. She's also informed the police department. They understand what's going on, but it's going to be everyday men that work together in unity and uniformly to bring about the change that we're going to see. And those men are going to be here at Straight Talk on next week. And we're going to share with you the plan that we've come up with. It's not a 10-step program. It's just a program of love and presence. And I'm so excited about this because I think that we have to take back our community. It didn't get this way overnight, and it's not going to change overnight. But I let you know that change is necessary, change is inevitable, and change is our friend. And we're going to work together and just really make sure that this change takes place. Jeffrey Bulls, who is the founder and the executive director for CAP, let me know, give me a report on what happened with our young people. I was with the young people on the other side of the state. The rain changed our date from Friday, so we had to push it to Saturday, which means that we were then in conflict. Let me know how that was going with our young people. What I love about what took place, and we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to talk about homelessness today. And y'all need to understand why this conversation on homelessness in the city of Saginaw is so vitally important. We're going to talk about some things that you guys are doing to raise funds for some things that you guys need very much. But this conversation on homelessness is a very important conversation. And I'm going to explain why this is going to be so important. Because as Saginaw renews itself and it brands itself, bringing in new populations is going to be necessary. And that is going to impact the number of individuals that are going to be homeless in the city of Saginaw. I'm telling you this right now. I want you guys to hear this conversation. Jeff, I hope all is well. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Matt, do you mind if we take a quick commercial break right now? We'll come back and we're going to talk about homelessness in the city of Saginaw and why you need to be plugged in, what's taking place. Stay, don't go away. We'll be back with more of Straight Talk.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
Hey, it's Steve Harvey, y'all. Here's what happened on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. First of all, let me say I love Stephen A. Smith. That's my boy.
Yeah.
That's all our boy.
Why would I
Here we go.
send my child to the Stephen A. Smith basketball camp for $3,000 when I have not seen Stephen A. Smith make a basket? That's like sending your baby down to the Steve Harvey Golf Academy. KISS 107.1, simply the best R&B.
I love being a part of the action team. It helps me help other people. It helps me feel good.
Being a part of the team always feels good. Go for it. Don't even hesitate.
For more than a decade, Major League Baseball players and action teams of high school students have been working together to train and inspire the next generation of volunteers.
Once you get there and realize how much you can change someone's life, it's one of the best feelings in the world.
Just that simple act that takes, 5 or 10 minutes of your time is making a difference and is transforming someone else's life.
All-star Giancarlo Stanton and Chris Capuano join action team captains to make a difference in their communities. And you can too.
just try it. Just go to one event, one action team event.
If we all show up together, that's what it's all about. It's not just one person, it's a group, it's a team.
It's been incredibly rewarding for me. It'll just make you feel so good about yourself.
I'd do anything to convince you just to be a part of this.
For more information, go to actionteam.org.
Are you an adoptive parent, foster parent, raising a relative's child? Are you struggling with your child? Are you feeling alone or isolated because your family, friends, and neighbors don't understand what you're going through? Raising children with loss and early childhood trauma can be difficult because these children require different parenting approaches than children who haven't experienced these struggles. You can find help at our Post-Adoption and Guardianship Assistance Program for Everyone, AGAPE. Contact us at the Adoptive and Foster Family Coalition of New York's free 24/7 helpline at 888-354-1342. That's 888-354-1342. We offer free parent trainings, support groups, educational outreach, advocacy, and more. Find us online at affcny.org. That's affcny.org. A source of support, information, and advocacy since 1975.
It's Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with more of Straight Talk. Shout out to my man, James Bradley. He's that sultry voice that is, I believe he's from the city of Saginaw, but he travels the world doing what he loves very much. But he said this great conversation listening from New York City. So much related to the topic is happening around the country. We certainly thank you, James, for continually tuning in, and we thank you for your listenership. To Rosa Williams, wow, praying for the God to be with you men that is a part of the journey. This is getting ready to happen. Jeff Bulls has reported in from CAP at the Saginaw Arts Festival. Great conversation with the kids. Huge thanks to Twani. He's referring to Twani Gray and Dr. Sheila Littles, as well as the Saginaw African and Cultural Festival Committee, Ralph Martin and Karen Lawrence. Karen Lawrence is a force to be reckoned with. And so I'm always excited with what you may not like her, but she going to get it done. So shout out to all of them and those that are continually going. Shout out to my cousin Tasha, who I caught a piece of her singing on stage as well. But we're going to shift our conversation to the conversation of homelessness. But before we get to that, it's interesting. I am getting ready to embark upon something. My mom and myself, we're going to get ready to have an opportunity. And I'm not sure if I shared this with you all before. But I know I shared with the fact that my family was sold into slavery. My ancestors were sold into slavery by Catholic Jesuit priests. And they sold us from plantation in California, Maryland, down into Merrigan, Louisiana, to sugarcane, crop, cotton, and tobacco. And they did that to keep the Georgetown University open, because they were getting ready to be foreclosed upon. And so the funds that they used to sell us were used to keep the university open. And over the past recent years, there has been conversation about reparations. Now, we're going to talk about reparations because reparations is such an important piece of the conversation that we're going to have, even as it talks about why homelessness in the Black communities and things of that nature are so very important. And so on August 31st through August the 3rd of this year, the name of the group is the GU 272, Georgetown University 272. There were 272 slaves that were sold from a plantation in Maryland down to a plantation in Merrigan, Louisiana. And my fifth great grandfather, Isaac Hawkins, was the first name that was listed on the bill of sale. But let me tell you how these jokers did. So they erased it in the bill of sale because the Catholic priests didn't want folks to know that they were involved in slavery, but we knew that anyways, right? And so they erased all of the names off the bill of sale so that you couldn't read them. And so there was a point, my cousin Ipatha was on Finding Our Roots, and they ran into a brick wall. So that would have essentially been the end of our genealogy search, because all of the names had been crossed out so you couldn't see them. However, there were some issues that took place at Georgetown, and Georgetown being a state university, they had to hold on to all of those records. So a copy was found in their archives, which they were able to then use, bringing and breaking open this story. The students 2 years ago decided to make reparations a real thing. They agreed that students should have a price to pay for those GU 272. And now there's a conversation at the university level in terms of how the university will operate. So we'll be going out there. We'll be going to the plantation that my 5th great grandfather was sold from. We'll be having conversations with Georgetown University, as well as I'm going to those plantations. It's absolutely amazing. I'll make sure that we keep you guys aware of that as I get back. Y'all know how it was when you watch Roots. When y'all see Roots and how they see us, you be mad as a mug. And y'all know I'm going down here to some of these places that haven't been freely, completely, what do you call it? Freed completely. So y'all help me watch my mouth as we get down there, man. All right. So we're going to talk, we're positioning a change. And I want to talk about homelessness in the city of Saginaw. We're going to talk about it specifically to the city of Saginaw, but I need you all to understand that the rates of homelessness offer another view in our community of racial and ethnic inequalities. It is such a very important piece of conversation because even when we talk, someone sent me a video and they were talking about even when we talk about the game of Monopoly. The game of Monopoly is a game that everyone starts out with the same amount of money. And as you go and you advance around the board, eventually you can buy some properties and you continue to go around that game. You then are able to buy some houses, or if you couldn't buy the property with where you could build houses, you actually buy, you know, the electric company, the utilities, power companies. You're investing in those things. And then if you get real good and you begin to get those houses, you can eventually buy yourself some hotels and create wealth for the community. Everyone starts at least with the same amount of money, but we have an issue here in the United States where Black folks, as the video was saying, are dealing with a real life monopoly issue. And the fact of the matter is that we started a game that we weren't given the same amount of money. As a matter of fact, we never got our 40 acres and a mule. And so now we're having to run and to catch up and to create scenarios. And now folks want to say, I never had a slave, I never owned a plantation, but we're having to deal with the inequality of not having been able to start at the same place. The rates of homelessness, and this is per 10,000 people in general population and jurisdiction. Among those groups, African American are among the nation's racial and ethnic groups. Blacks have the highest rate of homelessness, 54%, 54 out of every 10,000 individuals. Black people in the United States were homeless during this 2018 point in which they're referencing. This is a serious issue, and we're going to talk about that. I have Tamika Cameron with me today. She is the community liaison, is it?
Yes.
For RCO, which is the Restoration Community Outreach. We're going to talk about why this is important and why homelessness is an issue. We're going to talk about what you guys have going on because you guys have some great ideas on raising some funds, because when you're Black and you're homeless, you're at the bottom of the barrel in terms of where people are trying to fund.
Right.
Okay. They'll work with kids. Kids will always, hey, we can't leave kids behind. And there's despair treatment there. They'll even reach out for when it comes to women. But if we look at those statistics, Black kids are the last to be adopted. Black kids are the last to get to a foster home. Black women, same thing. But when we talk about men, there's a real issue with homelessness on Black men because they are at the top of the list for every single group that we have in terms of homelessness. You work with these men over at RCO. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what is the real purpose of RCO?
Restoration Community Outreach, better known as RCO, we service men that hard to serve population of men, whether they was previously incarcerated, criminal sexual conduct cases. Those walks of life those are the men that we cater to. We are the only emergency shelter for all men from all walks of life in the Tri-City area. Emergency shelter, I am,
right.
Put emphasis on that. The emergency part, because some categorize, okay, we'll take this type of man or that type of man, but we take every type of man.
So when you say emergency, what makes emergency shelter different than regular shelter? And those of you listening, I don't want you to run away. Please get your family and friends involved in this conversation, because we're going to talk about how that number is destined to increase. We were looking at 54 out of every 10,000. That number is going to increase exponentially as Saginaw changes its dynamic and as it rebrands and as it grows into the community that we desire. But this is going to be one of the byproducts. When you say emergency shelter, what exactly are you talking about?
Well, in a gist, that means that you can walk in from off the street 24 hours and gain shelter if we have the space available.
How often are you all without the capability to take on individuals for emergency shelter?
Not very often, but
Okay.
it does occur.
Okay. And it occurs. So RCO, is it just about homelessness? Because I know that you guys have programming opportunities. What are the things that you are needing as you're running and operating in a community center? I mean, in a rescue mission. What are some of the things that you're seeing that are needs as a community liaison?
What I see the most as a liaison is that we need funds. We
Okay.
need funds because what we're gearing towards is an expansion plan. We would like to service more men, even the men that we serve right now. The way that our building is set up, we need different areas to provide different things, such as a separate eating area. Our men eat in a bay area, which we call a bay area, and they have to tear down the lunch tables and build them back up. So they have to tear them down and go to sleep, pull their cots out. This is our emergency shelter area.
So they eat and sleep in the same shelter.
Absolutely. They watch television in the same area because we don't have enough room to categorize it.
We're just coming out of, and I know that you're executive director. We're praying for some successful things that are happening in her life at this moment.
Absolutely.
You guys, when we're talking about these, you're living, you're having your living space, your sleeping space, your eating space are all the same space.
All the same space.
So we're looking at really someone could spend upwards of 18 hours in the same space.
Yes.
Looking at or looking back at COVID, how does a pandemic that such as that nature, how does that impact what you guys are doing in providing safe space for your men that are housed with you all?
Well, it is a great impact because they have the free will to go out until their curfew is, but we don't know who they're mixing with. We don't know what their habits are, if they're healthy habits when they're out and about. When we were in the midst of the pandemic, are you covering up? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? So we did, like other shelters alike, we did get through our outbreak crisis when everyone has to stay in now. And it's kind of hard to deal with men. They're angry sometimes because they're restricted. They want to do what they want to do, but we're in a pandemic, which I feel like we follow very, very safe protocol at RCO. As a matter of fact, we're one of the few places that still test weekly just to keep track of the numbers and making sure everybody is safe.
You know, one of the things that I think is always interesting, even when I come and I volunteer and talk with those men that are over there, is that many people don't have a heart for homeless men.
That's true.
You homeless, you a man, do something about it, go get a job, go make it happen. But the reality of the situation is that the majority of us, including those who are listening via the radio and those on social media platforms, are really one paycheck away from being homeless.
And this is true.
This is what statistics are saying. You miss a check or two and let a car break down or have something happen out of the ordinary, we can find ourselves in those places.
Yes.
And I want to say something. Jeffrey Bulls, you put something in here that I want to capitalize on, and then we're going to move into the place where we want to talk about what you guys are doing that I think is really cool. Jeffrey Bulls says, as rents rise to unsustainable levels, food insecurity, energy costs are up. It is inevitable that homelessness will rise, not to mention mental illness issues. Excuse me. All right. So what I wanted to talk about as we were doing this is I want to talk about why this conversation on homelessness is so vitally important to our community. And if you're turning away and saying, they talking about homelessness, this is the wrong time to turn away, because what's getting ready to happen, and this is why we were saying we needed someone who understands how economies and economic growth and gentrification works in a community. Why is this especially important for cities like Saginaw? Because right now housing is scarce in the city of Saginaw. You've heard so many conversations about affordable housing. It is a buzzword. Affordable housing. Detroit is getting affordable housing money for affordable housing. Flint is building and creating structures because half the houses are abandoned or burned down in certain areas in the Flint community. So they need that housing. And this is going to be so important. I want to continue this conversation. There is a need for us as we build our community because we want nice parks. We want businesses. We want restaurants, chain restaurants downtown. We want all of these things. But in order for us to have these things, there are certain things that investors are going to look at in a community. They're going to look at tax breaks. They're going to look at what available land that is there. They're going to look at all of these things, and they're going to look at a future population. So that means that as we talk about growing Saginaw, we have to also talk about growing our community. How do we grow our population? How do we do this? And so we're going to see that we need to grow our population back. We're about 48,000 or so. We've got to grow back over 50,000 because there are some federal dollars that make it available for populations that are at that $50,000 mark. I don't know if many of you knew that. If we get over back to where we were 100,000, there's additional federal dollars that come into our communities. We have to grow our economic base. That means we've got to get out of the GM is going to come back and save us. We have companies like Blue Diamond and other places. Thank God for jobs. But those jobs, 20, 30 years ago would have been paying $26 an hour, and they're coming in paying people $15 and $16 an hour. General Motors just started up some new lines over off of the Washington plant. They're paying $15 or $16 an hour. These are places where our parents were really making $100,000 a year incomes off of. Those days are gone. So that means that we have to grow our economic base. That means that we have to key into other areas, other economic activity spaces that bring in a higher wage so that people can have sustainable living, which means that we're going to end up in tech sectors. And you all have heard that the city of Saginaw has just agreed for the $30.2 million for the Saginaw Medical Diamond. That means that we're moving toward the direction of becoming a medical and med tech company based community, which means that we have to grow a new economic base that is sustainable and trends toward those areas. Yeah. Which means that we don't have a whole bunch of doctors and lawyers in our community. We don't have a whole bunch of kids that are studying to be doctors, lawyers, nurses. We don't have people that are going into technology and tech-based companies and spaces that those jobs that are coming to our city are going to be centered towards. So we have to grow interest in our community from investors and other businesses to come in. That means that we're going to have to give some tax incentives up. That means that we're going to have to give up some future tax breaks and things of that nature. This is what happens. The city is investing $30.2 million with the hope of creating spaces where other companies can come in and have just shovel ready places. So if I want to build my business, if I want to build my clinic, if I want to build my hospital, if I want to build my medical technology company here, if I want to build my lab here, then it is already has the infrastructure of just getting to the ground. It's already in the ground. I can start building and we can bring in the key people to just do plumbing and other things. We need, thank you, Jacqueline Leighton Carter, who said, great conversation. Cherise Steele Phillips out there. Are the men required to attend different services programs to help them get their footing back into society? We're going to make sure that we ask that question. Jeffrey Bulls is we need a community benefit agreement between the people and the powers that be. Us who live here cannot be left out any longer. Any growth must be a win-win for everybody. And Jeff, that is exactly what the things that I'm talking to as we continue. I think that's very strategic and very important. I said it at the beginning of our session, because as the medical diamond becomes a real thing, as the silicone chips come and become a real thing, this means that we have to have a higher education level that is going to be needed for achievement. That means that retraining, and these are things that we can demand as a community, but the community must stand together. I'm going to say this again. We have to have a Alabama paddle riverboat mentality that when the hat goes up, that the call is out, that we are going to be unified in what it is that we're going to do. We can't just be happy about what takes place on social media. We've got to actually do this thing in real life. So that means that we have to stick together. One of the key things that I think that we don't back down from is that if these jobs are coming in, companies are willing to invest in retraining and opportunities and investing in education. So if I am working as a janitor, and there's nothing wrong with the janitor, our state rep O'Neill will tell you how he started off working as a janitor. He is now the state representative for the 94th district. So if I am, and I want to increase my ability and I want to upgrade my lifestyle, my living for my family, there is a pool of resources that these companies that are coming in, since we're giving them major tax breaks, it's time out for giving all of the incentives to companies just to get them in and not thinking about the people as we go through this process. So we've got to make sure that there's dollars that are attached for retraining and going back to school and getting new ways of education. Higher education is needed. We're going to have a newer, more affluent population that is coming to the city of Saginaw. Deal with it. You're going to have to choke on it. When that investment came to $30.2 million, it is in full steam. This is something that has been in the works for a very long time. It is now getting ready to be a real thing. Saginaw, as you know it, has now been fully registered for what we would refer to it as gentrification. It's getting ready to happen, my people, okay? And to exacerbate the housing problem even greater as these new population comes in, we've already seen it. There's going to be new townhomes. There's going to be new condos. There's going to be new apartment homes is the other word. And as these things come in, the rents are going to be $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500. Saginaw is one. We are impoverished as it relates to the average citizen. In terms, do you know what the numbers are in terms of the average dollars or makeup for people that come in, Sister Tamika?
In RCO?
In Saginaw. In terms of what our economics, because I know some of us, I've given those numbers before. The median income is way below the poverty line. We are a impoverished city. So as these new housing trends come in, as we build this community, as doctors and lawyers and all of these other people come in, tech individuals and the new architects and all the things that are going to be necessary to build, thank you very much. I knew CAP would come to my rescue. For single homes, that's $18,000 and $30,000 for a family that falls below the poverty line. So the average home in the city of Saginaw, the majority of homes are considered by a national standard to be in poverty, lower class, impoverished communities. As we continue this, it's going to exacerbate the issues on housing. Housing is going to be more affordable, less affordable, rendering more homeless folks who will then fall lower below the poverty line. If you think it's hard for you to find housing now, you wait until we begin the process of growth, because the cost of housing is going to go up. The cost of property values for those who are homeowners will also increase, but they will increase and will create another issue on being able to effectively manage the property taxes that are necessary, because as your home value goes up, so will your property taxes. So this is a real issue that we have to begin to have conversations about. So Tamika, you're doing something new, because one of the issues that you need money.
Absolutely.
Let's just be real clear about this. You need money. We can't throw in the towel on these men. I want you to answer the question that Sharice Steele Phillips has. Are these men required to attend different programs or services to help them get back onto their feet in society?
Absolutely. We have a variety of partnerships within the community. I want to address one thing.
Absolutely.
One major thing when it comes to homeless, a lot of people don't attach the mental health aspect with homeless men.
Very important.
There's a stigma. You're a man, go get a job. You're able-bodied, but if they don't have the mental capacity, if they have anxieties, if they have social issues, they can't go and just pick up a job that just because the sign says now hiring. They're going to go in there. They're going to be triggered. But in hindsight, we still have resources available for them. I would like to shout out particularly McDowell Healing Arts. We work very closely with them. They've come
William McDowell, is it?
Melvin
McDowell.
Yes.
William McDowell's a singer.
I don't know.
Melvin McDowell, we give you a shout out on man. Doing great work, but go ahead.
Excellent work. Very innovative. The guys, they're kind of hard to reach at first, but they really welcomed him in, and he had a chance to get many breakthroughs. And then some of our guys started after he came in-house. Some of them have individual counseling through his company, and it's been a blessing. They've really been a blessing for us. However, that's still an issue that we deal with, mental health. That is why the majority of our population at RCO are there, because they can't function.
You know what's interesting? I was talking with one of the men that were there, Jeffrey Bull, PTSD in full swing, Jeff.
Yes.
Post-traumatic stress disorder is a very serious thing. Mentally unhealthy is number one. I agree. I was talking with him and I was, saying, hey, what is your plan? How are you going to, and they were sharing with me how they were a veteran, and they had served the country. They had done all of these things and found, ran into some family situations and found themselves homeless. Now, they make a living. They are not able to work, but they make a living, and they were doing some things. How many people are the working poor that you see come through your doors?
You do see that. You do see the working poor. A lot of times people are on fixed income site like SSI, and it's like, I think it's like $915 average for a person a month. And
$900 average person a month.
Right.
And I told you all that housing is now, you're looking at housing, which is now about $900 to $1,100 for a small family.
Yes.
So after you pay rent, there's no more money left if you could pay rent.
Exactly.
So self-care products are things that you guys are probably need of.
Yes, we do need that. We always need things, toiletries and things of that nature. We do hold them accountable, though. If you do have a fixed income, you are required to save 30% of your income, because otherwise you will never be able to have a down payment in first month's rent.
So this speaks to what Ms. Phillips was saying. You guys are helping them to take their money. If you're going to live here, you got to take a percentage, 30% of your money, and save it,
yes,
so that they can eventually have a plan to get out.
Absolutely. And we also link them with different housing resources that we offer.
Okay.
To help them out, to make those ends meet for them, to get like a small apartment, 1-bedroom apartment for themselves. And
this is such an important conversation, y'all. You brought in the aspect of mental health, and there is a direct correlation. Folk understand the powers that be. This stuff does not just happen, but there are systems, and this is why we talk about systematic racism or systematic injustices that take place. If you go back a number of years when they closed the mental health facilities, what you will have seen is that in closing those mental health facilities, there were two things that took place. Two areas increase. We saw an increase in homelessness, and we saw an increase in incarceration of those individuals. We incarcerated people who needed mental health, and we wonder why they are chronically getting into trouble, chronically having issues with that they can't get out of. And it's because we have incarcerated people who need emotional and mental support. Those same individuals we then turned out and said, okay, you're free, go out there and live your best life, but they can't do a job interview and successfully retain a job. We have put them in a situation that there is no there for them. And we are expecting them to do some great things. Landowners, Jeffrey Bulls, we're going to read this comment. Landowners are now requiring 3 times your income as a requirement to apply. In many instances, very few people can do that. Almost nobody. Come on, y'all. If we were to be real, I mean, as I said to y'all before, you ain't got to raise your hand up. We already know that if you miss a couple paychecks, that your behind is going to be out on the street. Because we have a tendency to live beyond our means as it is anyway. Doctor, lawyer, whatever it is. Inflation is a real thing. Let's talk about what you are doing and how you need the community to come out and support what you have going on for RCO.
Okay, I have a couple of things. First one, I really want to emphasize with the campaign that we started called Thrive with 5.
Thrive with 5.
Okay, and Thrive with 5 in the gist is getting as many people to donate a recurring amount of $5 a month. You go on our website. You can donate that $5, whatever your method of payment is. $5 will come out of that account per month. And
$5 every month. Thrive with 5. Can we get some people that they're in the social media stream right now to just say, I'll thrive with 5. I'll thrive with 5. I'll make the pledge to thrive with 5.
Yes.
If we can get some of you other that are on social media stream to thrive with 5 right now, because these men are needed in our community. They got family and family members and children that they got to be reconnected with. But go ahead.
Yes. And even it's an easier ask. It's people that feel like they don't have it to donate. I would love to donate and I can't. But if you ask somebody for $5 a month, and if I can get 1,000 people to
well, you got 2 just in the past 15 seconds. Renee Hawkins Morris, write the name down. She said that she will thrive with 5, hashtag thrive with 5. I'll thrive with 5. Cherise Steele Phillips, she says, write these names down. Jeffrey Bulls, his name is in here. Jacqueline Layton Carter, they'll give 5.
Yes, and spread the word.
Let's make this happen. This is how we are able. This is what's going to be required.
Yes.
Because we're not going to get the startup money from the Monopoly Board. It ain't going to happen. So we're going to have to take care of our community and those organizations in our community. My mom is saying she'll thrive with 5. Yes. Geraldine, Arwanda, you better get these names. Arwanda Collar, go back and watch this in its entirety. Arwanda Connor says she'll thrive with 5. Hallelujah, yes, Lord. Rosa Williams, I don't know if that's a hallelujah, less, Lord. You'll thrive with 5. Let us know. That sounds like a thrive with 5. I love this campaign. We're going to do this, and we're going to take care of our men. But continue.
And what it looks like as a whole, if I get 1,000 people to commit to this,
yes,
I will have raised $60,000 in a year. That's unrestricted funds.
That's stuff you can work with.
I can work with those funds. We can do what we need. We don't have to do those big asks. And it's a lot to ask a person to donate and contribute $100 or $200.
Absolutely.
$5 a month, that's a realistic ask. And I'm hoping that my community support and back us with this. We want this establishment to be, I want RCO to be there when I'm gone.
Absolutely.
I want it to be there. It was, like I said, established in 1991 with a whole lot of grit and blood, sweat, and tears. And Miss Betty Martin is here no more, but to hear of her legacy is something that I am definitely dedicated to continuously contribute, but I need your help.
Yeah, you got folks out here thriving with 5. Yes, Alma Collier says she'll thrive with 5. Yes. I need you to go back and watch this.
That's how
so you get these names.
Yes.
But this is the way that we're going to do it. I'm going to tell you, for all you church folk out there, we always say that little becomes much when we place it in the master's hands. And we are our brother's keeper. You guys have a chess tournament that's coming up. Tell me about it.
Yes, we do. We have a chess tournament which will be held at New Life Church, their chess park right across the street there. It'll be September the 2nd from 10 to 5. That chess tournament, the entry fee is $30 to enter, and there's a winner take all prize of $500.
All right.
Hey, that's something I wish.
If I could play chess, I'm a checkers guy.
Yeah, if you put some checkers
King
on,
me. I'm out of it for chess.
That's it.
All right. Priscilla Curry says she'll thrive with 5. I'm going to tell you, Saginaw, y'all making me proud. We having our paddleboat, riverboat moment right here in the city of Saginaw.
Yes, exactly.
We gotta look out for each other,
yes.
And anyone that we consider insignificant is a detriment to our community because we need each other. Please connect with me regarding the details, sir. Still regarding the details when I see you later this week. So we got folks that are willing to thrive with 5. Those of you who are just coming in, we had a request from RCO, Tamika Cameron, who's a community liaison. She's taking care of those men who have been servicers to our community. Brian Pruitt, he's going to thrive with 5. It's $5. Yes. Give up your Starbucks. Give up a cup of coffee so that we can make this happen. Now, one thing you ain't got to ask, I'm a preacher, so I don't mind making sure that we are asking, committing when it makes sense. Yes. Okay, and so this makes sense for us to lean in for these young men. Now, they also can go, if they want to go and eat, we can eat and even a purpose. Mm-hmm. There is a place that you guys have something going on. Tell me a little bit about that.
That is going to be what it is the owner at Artesian Urban Bistro on Hancock.
Yep.
Old Town Saginaw. She sponsors 10% of her profit to nonprofits across the city every Wednesday.
Okay.
She does this all year long. She, as a matter of fact, our conversation we had, she's booked through January, as a matter of fact, with people who are going to benefit from her Grateful Wednesday pasta night.
Okay.
And what happens is a simple thing. You just show up, eat, and we get 10% of her profit.
She is tithing her income from that Wednesday and
Yeah.
back into a community organization.
Absolutely.
It's not going into a church, but it's going somewhere that is a part of the community. That is a responsibility for us to take care of one another. Look at God's children taking care of his children. Yes, you couldn't have said it any better.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you need to, how can people get a hold of you for what you have going on with RCO, and how can we support these men who need us?
Any way possible. You can reach me directly at RCO.
Yes.
And my phone number is 989-753-1886, extension 202.
All right. So make sure you connect with Miss Cameron. Carlton's here. Priscilla Curry. So good to see you all. Let's get out there. We're going to thrive with $5 a month. If we get 1,000, that is $60,000 that they can then use. They need mittens. They need gloves. They need beds. They're trying to build holes in the shoes. Come on, y'all. We got to lean in for one another.
And I will say, boy, where my heart is more geared towards when the holidays come and we really want to do things for them, gift them, make them feel as at home as possible during those holiday seasons, because that's when a lot of the depression kicks in and they're in the homeless shelter. But we want to make sure they're eating like they're just pulling up to their mama's or grandmama's table. So those are the type of things that we like to provide.
And Thanksgiving, I remember we were down there cooking and making meals. These are things that we get caught up in the holiday season ourselves, that we forget about those who may be less fortunate.
Absolutely. And one more thing, our chess tournament, I would like everybody to know that it's not just a chess tournament, it's a family fun day.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have Miss Teresa doing the hustles out there. We're going to have a DJ. It's going to be a feel-good, family-oriented day. So I'm just asking the community to come out. Again, that is September the 2nd on a Saturday from 10 to 5.
And if you think you got game on the chessboard, y'all hit her up and get involved and go ahead and claim that $500 prize. I want to have an interview with the person who wins the $500 prize.
Absolutely. We can set that up. And then you can also, if you don't play chess, you can sponsor a homeless guest to play, because that was the originating basis of the idea to have this chess tournament. We had a volunteer to come in and he started teaching the guys chess. And our director, Miss Destiny Findley, says, why don't we have a chess tournament? And
that's why we're going to happen. I want to thank you guys for continually coming in. Thank you, Miss Cameron, for coming in and sharing this with you. Y'all, we're going to thrive for 5. Don't forget, next week, 6 p.m., same bat channel. I'm going to have those men in the city of Saginaw that we've been talking about that are really ready to make a change happen. It's going down. We're taking back our community one step at a time, one curb, one corner, one community and neighborhood near you. I hope you guys have an amazing day. And as always, take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you. Grace and peace.
You've been listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1. The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen by the host, its guest, or call-ins do not necessarily represent the opinion of this station, the staff,